Do you want the guts to move forward in your life? Say yes.
Yes.
That's wimpy. Come on, you can do better than that. Do you want the guts to move forward in your life?
Yes.
Ooh, that's great. Thank you. Man, you are serious. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let me tell you what the benefits are. I alluded to it a few minutes ago. But by learning the guts formula and being a participant in this talk, you're going to learn how to stay motivated longer. You're going to overcome negativity. You're going to build your self-confidence. And you're going to work better with others. Are those pretty good goals?
Yes.
Awesome. It's been a wonderful experience so far, and I want to thank all of you for welcoming me the way that you have. And what we're going to do in this short amount of time that we have together is go over the guts formula. I also have a couple surprise videos to show you where the workshop people, they saw a really empowering video, but they're going to see a couple more today that they didn't see in the workshop, and some new material. But really what I want to do, my goal today, is to give you the tools that you can use on a regular basis to help empower you to overcome negativity and to help other people, that your clients and your coworkers and in your community and as a team, to help them have the guts to move forward in their life, because it's very important. And what's great about these techniques is they're really easy and they're very simple, but they're not always easy to do on a regular basis. So it takes a lot of practice, and you have to work your muscle. I have to applaud each and every one of you because I really value what you do in your communities and what you do for your clients. I've been very involved in my community with our domestic violence shelter, and also with communications that my husband and I do with our marketing company. We work with domestic violence organizations for fundraisers and communications videos and things like that in our business. And so we've learned a lot about the needs and have a lot of respect for what you do. And we know that you do wonderful things in the community. And after this presentation, I am totally convinced that you will do even more amazing things in your community and as a team. You want to find out how? Oh my God. It's like I said, do you want to go to the dentist? Yeah. Okay. Why do you need the guts to move forward in your life? What holds us back? Well, I figured out there's about 3 important aspects that hold us back from the good and from having the guts to move forward. Number 1, the lack of knowledge. How many times do we make decisions based on not enough information? And we might make a snap decision and we realize we made the wrong one. Anybody in this room? Yeah, we've all done that a time or two. And because of that, sometimes we get gun shy. We're afraid to move forward in our life. We're afraid to have the guts or get the guts to make more decisions if we feel like we've made wrong decisions in the past. So we have to overcome that, and I'll show you how with the guts formula. The second thing is we can lack confidence, and that can be from a various amount of things, right? It could be the way we were brought up. It could be well-meaning comments by teachers or family or peers. But we may have to work on our confidence, and I'm going to show you how to do that too, and overcome some of this negativity, and how to stay motivated for more than a day so you can continue to go out there and do amazing things. But the really big factor of how we hold ourselves back, and tell me if you agree with this, is fear. And I've heard that fear actually is false evidence appearing real, right? Sometimes we think things are going to happen and we get very fearful of it, right? And what happens, we think about the situation so much and we think it's real because it's not happening to us now. We're thinking about it in the future, right? That most times it either doesn't happen at all, or if it does happen, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. Don't you agree? So what are we afraid of? You know, why do we still get frozen with fear? It's crazy. I do it. And the definition of fear, according to the dictionary, is it is worth noting that fear almost always relates to future events, such as worsening of a situation or the continuation of a situation that is unacceptable. What's important to know about that it almost always relates to future events. Okay, we're not in fear today, are we? We're having a good time. So these are things that we can do to overcome unnecessary fear. There are real fears, but let's try to control the ones that are unnecessary. I put this slide up here called The Long and Short of It, because I wanted to tell you a little bit about me that wasn't in the bio. I have a purpose, a grand purpose, to empower women worldwide and to be able to give them the tools that they need to overcome negativity and to empower themselves to do amazing things in this world. So the only way I knew to do it was to produce products and to get out there and talk about it. So that's why I did everything really quick. But it hasn't always been that easy for me. When I was growing up, I know this is probably going to come to a surprise, as a surprise to most of you, but I wasn't really tall. In fact, I'm still not very tall. And I was bullied a lot. I'm 4'11" and 3/4. And my doctor, when I was growing up, promised me, he actually promised me I'd be 5 feet tall. And he lied. But being short, being Italian, growing up, I was always being picked on. I was picked on verbally, I was picked on emotionally, and I was picked on physically. When I used to go to school after classes and after my little ballet class, I would walk home, and it really wasn't that far. It was probably about 6 blocks. But as I got partway home, there were always these 2 bullies that were waiting for me. And they were really tall. Now, I don't know how tall they really were, but remember, I was small. And I'd get up there, and I'd be on the sidewalk, and they would say, "Oh, where do you think you're going?" Oh, and I used to dread it. I used to hate it. And I'd look up, and I'm just trying to get home. I'm just trying to get home. And then I remember they used to push me back, and they said, "You're not going anywhere." And it was just so terrifying. Even talking about it, it just brings up all these memories. And so it started with pushing, and then it started with pushing me down on the ground, and then it became funny for them to throw me up in the air and to see me fall on the ground. Luckily, it was on the grass. But still, and I would go home and I would tell my mother about this, and I said, "Mom, I'm being picked on. These bullies are making things difficult for me. They're throwing me up in the air. They're pushing me around." I said, "What do I do?" And my mother said, "Find a different route home." I did, but the bullying didn't stop there. I was told by well-meaning teachers and well-meaning parents that when I said, "I want to be a teacher someday, I really feel like I can be a good teacher. I want to help empower people to do better. I really want I want to teach them to learn." I knew that at a very, very young age. And you know what I heard? "You can't do that." "Why?" "You're too short." I said, "What? What do you mean I'm too short? What does that have to do with anything?" And they said, "You can't do that because if you're a teacher and you're short, the kids are going to be taller than you, and they're not going to respect you." Right? Yeah. So I showed them. Now I'm a speaker, and I'm teaching. I just don't have the same kind of degree I thought I was going to have. But I had the guts to move forward and to, yeah, it bothered me, and it held me back from that, but I learned tools and techniques for the last 20 years that have gotten me where I am today. When I got into the business world, being a woman, and I was in a high-level position in Chicago in the TV advertising production industry, very male-dominated. I was a female executive on an executive team where there were only about 3 females. The company was owned by Anheuser-Busch. It was a beer company, but they bought this production company. And that's why we were a subsidiary of Anheuser-Busch. But the energy was very male-dominated, okay? When I was 5 months pregnant with our son, the president of the company brought me into his office and sat me down. And I had a perfect pregnancy, by the way. Nobody even really could even tell I was pregnant for 5 months. And the president of the company said, well, I've got some news for you. I said, right, great. He goes, how you feeling? Wonderful. How's pregnancy? Great. Okay, just small talk. They said, well, we're going to make some changes in the company, and I just wanted to let you know about them. I said, okay, well, what kind of changes? Thinking, wow, I must be getting promoted or something. And he said, well, we've decided to take this gentleman named Paul, who worked for me, that I had hired and trained and motivated to be very successful. Well, you know what? His wife was having a baby too. And Paul was much more aggressive than I was. They really needed the money. They've got a new baby on the way. So the president of the company said, this is the deal. We're going to have you and Paul change jobs. Change roles. Okay. What do you say? I still say, well, what are you talking about? He said, well, we're going to make him director of sales, and we're going to make you an account executive. Okay. And he said the reasoning was because Paul was more aggressive, and seriously, of course, there's no witnesses in that room, that he's more aggressive, and that they thought this was a good decision to make. Well, I was like devastated. He said, well, you should be really happy about this. And I said, why? He said, you're going to still earn the same amount of money. Well, you just won't have the title. You could put your feet up. It won't be as hard for you. And I said, are you kidding me? How do you think this is even positive? How do you even think that I would even want to do this? He goes, because you're not going to lose anything financially. I said, it's not about the money. I worked very hard to get where I am. And I said, you can't just turn a switch and demote me for no apparent reason. What, because I'm pregnant? He wouldn't say that, of course, legally, but the inference of what? So I was pretty devastated, as you can imagine. I remember that was on May 5th. And I went to my doctor. I had a doctor's appointment the next day. And I went to the doctor and I told him the story because I was having premature contractions. Okay, now I had our only son late in life, so I didn't have a lot of chances to do over again. And I was having an at-risk doctor take care of me. And I was like bent over. I was just, it was just awful. You know, the contractions and the cramps and everything else. He's looking at me and said, all right, I don't get it. You know, you have had a stellar pregnancy for 5 months. He said, and I don't, what's happened to you? And you're such a positive person, so I know that can't be the case. What's going on? I said, well, I had a little thing at work. I actually got demoted, and I told him the whole story. His eyes got about this big. And the next thing he said is, do you have a lawyer? And I said, oh, no. No. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, to make a long story short, he told me immediately I had to get out of that environment. I had to take leave, go home, and then wait till hopefully my contractions would go away. Well, that's exactly what I did. I took short-term disability. I got out of a stressful situation, went home, and I can tell you this, within just a few days, I didn't have any contractions, I didn't have any problems, and got to do my math, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 months later, I had a beautiful, healthy boy. And when I think about it, I actually did file a lawsuit afterwards, and the only reason I didn't get anything out of it, but I had to prove a point. They had they had more lawyers than I could ever dream of. Anheuser-Busch had many, many lawyers. But there were other women that were in the same situation as me, and they were on the senior management team. And by the time I was there, 3 years, all of them were gone. They were either demoted, fired, or let go. Something. They were gone. So I was the spokesperson, as you might guess, for all of us. And I'll never regret that, even though it was incredibly stressful, but I felt like I took a stand, and I had a healthy baby. So I'm very proud of that. I wasn't even going to share that story with you, but as my husband knows, when I get on stage, this other person comes out. So I call that person Little Debbie. So whatever little Debbie wants to do, she's going to do. So, but I hope that that was something, and I can relate to you, as most of you, as women, and some men, I'm sorry. But you can understand, and being sympathetic to that situation is really helpful. So I just wanted to share that story with you, because I really did fear that I wasn't going to be successful and I wasn't going to be happy because I couldn't live my dream. And I ended up living my dream. And the long and short of it all, see that short guy? That's me. But that's probably what I look like. But that tall guy, that's what I feel like. So I feel like the tall guy. Does anybody know who these characters are? Wow, I didn't either. Anyway, my husband found that online, and it's actually, have you heard of Mutt and Jeff? I thought they were animals. They're people. This is Mutt and Jeff, and this is a cartoon from, I guess, the 20s. Now let's move on to the 4-step guts formula. One of the reasons that I discovered this formula was by trial and error in my life, and also by researching successful people for the last 20 years. What did they do to stay motivated? What did they do to become successful and to stay successful? And I started finding some reoccurring themes and reoccurring applications that I could apply to my own life. So that's how it started. And I also wanted to be able to use a formula that was easy and simple to use and I could do on a daily basis. And I wanted something that I could share with others in a quick half an hour with you that could help you become more empowered to have the guts to move forward in your life. So let's go through the formula. And my workshop people are ahead of the game. So if you have the answers, don't shout them out. But this is good. Repetition is excellent. It helps that subconscious mind to further bring these beliefs into play. Okay, the first step is gain knowledge. And that step means that no matter what we do in our life, whether it's our personal life or our business life or our hobbies, that we need to gain more knowledge to become better at our jobs. A lot of times it's because we're not confident enough. But if we keep gaining more knowledge, then we're going to increase our confidence, which then we'll be empowered to do more things. And just fill your mind with positive things, and whatever that is for you. We can read inspirational books, whether it's a Bible, whether it's books, tapes, whatever, CDs, MP3s. Going to seminars, workshops like you're doing now. Fill your mind, because if you don't fill your mind with positive information, no matter where it comes from, is that your subconscious mind will automatically play back to you all the memories and the thoughts and the experiences that you've had since you were born. It stores all that information. And what does it do with that information? It brings it back into your reality, because that's what you've had in there for that long of a time. So gaining knowledge can help build, building blocks, okay, to do more, to learn more, to understand more, and to make better decisions. One of my very favorite role models in this step called gain knowledge is Denise Brown. How many of you know who Denise Brown is? Raise your hands. In this audience, you should all have them up. Okay. Well, let me explain who Denise is. Denise is the sister of Nicole Brown Simpson. Okay? And I'm going to let Denise tell you firsthand, when we went and interviewed her out in California for this documentary called Women with Guts, what she had to say about gaining knowledge in her situation, because she did not know anything about domestic violence. Okay? And I want you to listen to her story and understand what kind of guts she had to have to move forward with her life and to help other women around the world, okay? So let's hear, you can roll the tape, let's hear from Denise.
I became an advocate June 12, 1994. And actually I wasn't even an advocate then. That was just when my whole world just turned upside down. Nicole was murdered, my sister, who, we were very, very close, especially when we were growing up. But after Nicole's murder, that's when I actually became an advocate. And I was the first one to say, no, Nicole's not a battered woman. because I didn't think that she was, because I thought, okay, well, Nicole and I, being so close in age, that she would have said something to me. But that was that dirty little secret that Nicole just wanted to keep a secret. She didn't want anybody to know. After that, my father found her notes and diaries, and reading those notes and diaries, looking through them, and actually seeing places that we were there. We were there, we were there, we were there. We were at these places where the abuse was taking place, but we didn't know it was taking place because it was happening behind closed doors. So this is the cycle of domestic violence that I knew nothing about. Well, I said, okay. I said, what can I do? I didn't know. I didn't know anything about the cycle of domestic violence. I didn't know about domestic violence at that point. When I found out about domestic violence and I found out the things that were in her diaries, my mother and I, we went to a shelter and we asked them, okay, what is this? What is going on here? And see, so that was my education into all of it. And it was like such a shock that I couldn't believe it. But I figured, you know what, if I don't know anything about this, then a lot of people don't know anything about this. So that's when I started speaking, and I started traveling, and I started educating myself. The shelter that my mom and I went to, they gave me books to read, they gave me fact sheets, they started educating me. But my real education came from the women in the shelters, talking to them. The education and everything that I learned about domestic violence, and I continue to learn about domestic violence, was just a real shock. And I wish that it wouldn't have been my sister's life that had me learn about what domestic violence was.
Pretty powerful stuff, right? But look what she accomplished. Look at that example of a woman with guts who took an incredibly negative situation and turned it around to be able to use that to share and help other women not become a victim like her sister. She is probably our #1 advocate for domestic violence. And she went to Congress years ago when there was a bill that was supposed to get passed. It was stalled in Congress. And Orrin Hatch and Joe Biden asked her to come to Congress and meet with them to support this bill and get it passed. It was called the Violence Against Women Act. And she did. And because of her testimony, not only did the bill get passed, but the funding was allocated for $18 million. It actually went up to $32 million. So she got more funding and she got the bill passed. But Denise has been speaking for about 15 years. She's been on the road, traveling worldwide, spreading the message of hope and empowerment for women. But she decided that she couldn't be everywhere to all people. So she started the Elite Speakers Bureau about a year ago. And actually that's who brought me in to speak to you today. My experience is a little bit different than most of her speakers. But she calls me the good news girl. I'm the good news girl, and I'm here to share guts. So that's why she has me. She's also an advisor to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Has anybody been to Austin, Texas, the National Domestic Violence Hotline? It's pretty amazing to see what they do on a day-to-day basis, taking those calls. That 800 number all go through that office. We were able to listen to some of those calls and to witness the caregivers and what they would say and what they would do. And it was pretty miraculous. It's a tough job, and I know you all have tough jobs being in this environment. Denise also saw the need to help teens and help young people learn about healthy relationships, dating violence, and all those kind of things where domestic violence can start. So she actually is on our board of In Search of Me Cafe, which is a nonprofit program for teens. And it helps teens learn life skills and to conquer, things like dating violence, underage drinking, abuse, verbal abuse, and also self-esteem issues and things like that. So I'm a #1 Denise fan, so thank you for watching that with me. So what else can you do to gain knowledge in your life? You can learn more about your profession, continue getting educated, earn certifications and credentials, network at industry events, take action now and stay with it, okay? And then you can bring that out to your community and educate clients on what they can do. How can they be empowered? What kind of information do they need? What kind of knowledge do they need to move forward with their life? So you can be an advocate for them. The next step is use positive affirmations. Positive affirmations is another word for self-talk. Psychologists call that self-talk because it's statements that we say to ourselves or to other people on a regular basis that may or may not be totally positive. We may say things like, I can't remember names, or I'm not any good, or I'm not worthy. Well, the more times that we can catch ourselves saying things like that, changing it to the present tense, making them short, and continuing to repeat them over and over again, and diffuse that inner critic that's within our head and our minds that say, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? You can't. You're not worthy. You're not good enough. So by using positive affirmations on a regular basis, you can do that. And it helps replace the negative programming that you've had since you were growing up, because some of that stuff is still there. Case in point, sticks and stones, right? Think about the power of our words, the things that we either say to ourselves or to others. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Who came up with that? I mean, look at the epidemic of bullying and bullycide, the epidemic of suicides through bullying. So the power of our words is so important, and we can change that. Now, I'm giving you the Reader's Digest version of this, because it actually is a lot longer, but I want you to take the highlights. If you want more information, I can help you, but this is giving you an overview. Positive affirmations, one of them you could do through either music or poetry or dance. You're affirming something in the positive. This is a young lady that I met 2 years ago. Her name is Rubiana Garza, and she came from a multicultural environment. She's Mexican, Spanish, Native American, and American. And I found that Ruby had an incredible story to tell. She grew up in a domestic violence household and witnessed that on a daily basis. And then she was molested at age 7 until she was 13. But you know what? At age 13, she went to court and she put her abuser away. So she's somebody that has guts. She knew, though, that by doing music and using music as an affirmation, that helped her get over the pain. I want you to hear what she had to say.
I chose inspirational music as my passion for the same reason that it chose me, I think. Music speaks to people, and if you listen to it, it's like it's a conversation with that artist to that listener. Through that, I learned music. I had a joy, I had a passion that grew from beyond because of my pain being so deep. I think that I wanted to help others get out of that. So the inspirational words and the meaning behind my music, that is everything in the world to me. It's, metaphorically speaking, the air that I breathe, water that I need. It's my lifeline. I've been writing since I was 16 years old. And I'd be in high school and I should have paid more attention to my studies, but I would be buried in words and poems, and just, I thrived off of that. I mean, like I said, it was my antidote for getting out of my pain. It was my medicine. It was everything to me.
That's Ruby. And she went on from there. When we met her, we produced this Music and Motivation CD, and I worked with her to help her with her self-talk and her thoughts and gaining knowledge and all the steps of the GUTS formula, and this is something that we accomplished together after that.
I'ma take it to the top, show the whole world I've been waiting my whole life. Ooh, yeah, I'm in search of me. Oh, yes, I'm trying to be everything I dream. It's not been that easy for me to trust and believe and keep on my feet. And I know what it's like to have nothing and try to make something out of your dreams. Now I've been waiting my whole life. Ooh, I've been waiting for my shot. I'ma take it to the top, show the whole world what I've got. I've been waiting my whole life. Ooh, yeah, I'm in search of me. Oh, yes, I'm trying to be everything I dream. Sometimes I wanna get mad for the things I don't have, but then I take a step back and then I see I know what it takes to create a way for everyone to feel free. Can't let nothing hold me down. I stand up and shout out. I've been waiting my whole life. Ooh, I've been waiting for my shot. I'ma take it to the top, show the whole world what I've got. I've been waiting my whole life. Ooh, yeah, I'm in search of me. Oh, yes, I'm trying to be everything I dream.
I think that we can do so much by sharing stories and empowerment stories. That's why I wanted to show you Ruby's, because compared to where she was and where she is now and where she's going to go, she is a woman with guts. And we all have amazing stories to tell and amazing stories that we can share. So I want to encourage you to find those. Train your thoughts. The National Science Foundation says that we think 60,000 thoughts a day. So if half of it, our thoughts are positive, that's about 30,000. We have 30,000 left to kind of move to a more positive nature. And if we don't, the thoughts are just going to kind of repeat themselves, right? And kind of dwell in our subconscious mind, and we can be in that spin. And what I do, if I'm in that kind of situation, I will say stop or cancel so that I can stop that negative thinking and change it to the positive, because that's how you're going to imprint the subconscious mind. 80% of what we think, feel, and say and do is triggered by the subconscious mind, which is right below the conscious mind. That is so important to know. And psychologists have told us by the time we're like 8 to 12 years old that our subconscious mind has already created a success imprint of everything we've felt and seen and memories and everything else. And so what happens at that age between 8 and 12, it's like you're in survivor mode. You know, you want to survive. You want to be safe. You don't want to get out of your comfort zone. And we take that into our adult life and we say, oh, I don't want to go out of my comfort zone. I want to be safe. So we need to reprogram our subconscious mind by positive affirmations, retraining our thoughts. And I think the biggest thing to know is that when you train your thoughts, to first of all identify them, replace with positive, and do it every day, and share these techniques with your clients. The last step of the GUTS formula is set realistic goals. I think sometimes we have a habit of setting goals that are either too unrealistic or maybe even too small, but they aren't realistic in our lives. Not only setting realistic goals are going to help you be empowered and have the guts to move forward, but also let's set some goals in our self-care, in our spiritual lives, so that we can take better care of ourselves, so we can empower others and we can be a better service to others. And then we can visualize goals as already happening. Subconscious mind is very powerful. So you set your goals, close your eyes, visualize yourself on stage, accomplishing your goal in the present tense. Because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the past tense, the present tense, or the future tense. It only knows what you tell it more often and the emotion that you put into it. So visualize your ideal place and visualize yourself already accomplishing your goal. And you will do amazing things, and you will help your clients do amazing things. So wrapping up real quick, the 4-step GUTS formula: gain knowledge, use positive affirmations, train your thoughts, set realistic goals, will help you to stay motivated, overcome negativity, and to be of service not only to yourself, but the clients that you serve, and in your community, and on a team. And I want to leave you with a video that kind of ties everything together that Stan and I produced, that'll give you an idea how important it is to work as a team and to be in your community and help others.
Lessons of the geese. In the fall, when you see geese heading south for the winter, flying in the V formation, pause a moment and appreciate the beauty of the flight. As each bird flaps its wings, it creates uplift for the bird behind it. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock adds at least 71% greater flying range than if each bird flew on its own. Similar to people who are part of a team, the geese reach their goal quicker and easier because they travel on the trust of one another and lift each other up along the way. When a goose falls out of formation, it feels the drag and resistance of trying to go through it alone. As it quickly repositions itself into the V, it once again has the advantage of the power of the flock. If we benefit from the lessons of the geese, we will stay in formation with those who are headed in the same way that we are going. And if for a time we fall out of the team, we'll return to the safety and power of the V. When the lead goose gets tired, he rotates back into the V and another goose takes over. It pays to share leadership and take turns doing hard jobs. The geese honk from behind to encourage those up front to keep their speed. Words of support and inspiration help energize those on the front line, helping them to keep pace in spite of the day-to-day pressures and fatigue. It is important that our honking be encouraging. Otherwise, it's just, well, honking. Finally, when a goose gets sick or wounded and falls out, 2 geese fall out of the formation and follow the injured one down to help and protect him. They stay with him until he is either able to fly or passes on. Then they launch out with another formation to catch up with their group. And just as the geese do, we will stand by each other when things get rough. We will stay in formation with those headed where we want to go. The next time you see a formation of geese, remember their message. The geese depend on teamwork for their life's journey. And as people, one of the most rewarding and fulfilling experiences in life is to be a contributing member of a team.
You will do amazing things.
Thank you very much for allowing me to serve you during this conference. I've enjoyed it and I've loved meeting everyone. If you want to stay in contact, please do see Maya. And please go out there and do amazing things. Thank you.